I'm Okina Blue, and this is the Anime Roundtable stream edition for the first time in 2026, Saturday morning, January 10th, 2026. Akemashite Omedetou gozaimasu. So here, Mike here at 6 points as we overlook the area 10 minutes south of the Anime North compound in Toronto's West End. When I say Akemashite Omedetou, I do understand the idea behind it of greeting people for successfully crossing into the new year. And if there's one thing I've learned over the last little bit is that should not be taken lightly. It's just, especially with the way the world is right now, getting to the next year some days is considered quite the feat, and getting well into the new year is considered quite the feat. Unfortunately, as I've learned in the last couple of years the hard way. All right, gonna try and lighten it up a little bit. Yeah, we did do this is a morning stream, so, and as you can probably guess, it probably won't be the longest. We're gonna try and set out a bit of a roadmap for the next little bit here on the roundtable, whether it's here on the streams or on the podcast side. There's a lot of work. This is one of those tie up loose ends weekends for the roundtable. So if you're on our socials at Anime Roundtable, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, not so much X and Blue Sky, but hopefully we'll get to those soon enough. You'll probably notice I'll be putting up a fair amount of stuff, hopefully before the end of the weekend. Also, the other thing was last night we did do a taping here. So episode 98 is sitting here in my computer, ready to be edited. Not really edited. It probably will go up most of as is. Just a few little tweaks and add-ons. And that'll go up hopefully before the end of the weekend as well. So really what was going on, what delayed this morning is I was finishing cleaning up the place after we taped here, because everybody came here and we did the episode in person. So all five of us were sitting here and we chatted for a couple hours. And I had to spend last night drying one of the tablecloths. If you listen to the episode, you'll know why. Fortunately, we can't totally show you, but that's one of those. It's just one of those things. Anyway, as I said, this will probably be a brief stream. I'm actually going to put a timer to this. I'll set this timer for roughly an hour, because then if it beeps, I know I've gone a little too long today. Thanks to anybody who has decided to join us for coffee this morning. Hero Harmony, Potter 66555. Thanks for lurking right away. I can see you. We are also streaming on YouTube as well, so I am keeping up with the chat there, and I'll try and respond as I see everything. Okay. All right. Let's a quick preview of the episode. We did basically the upshot. Much of the upshot is Amy joined us for the first time in a while. I'm trying to remember the last time we had her on. I don't think it was the Anime North episode, but I do believe it was probably one of the last regular episodes we did do. Episode 98, as I said, this will be episode 98 of our regular series. And as you can see, as the numbers suggest, we are approaching episode 100 of version 2. That's of course we've done more than 100 recordings in version 2, and a lot, and probably the better part of 200 altogether when you figure in the original series, or the original run. But it's not lost on me the significance of doing roughly 100 regular episodes, and it'll probably coincide with what will be the podcast's 20th anniversary in early March. So when we finally get to 100, I'm hoping my big goal for episode 100 is to get Neil Sinclair back on, and see how life is with him right now. So that's kind of the bucket list, just something to think about. I guess I'll say, hope everybody's holidays were good. We are now in the letdown period, in the hangover period after the Christmas and New Year's holidays here in much of the West and much of the world, I guess. So I think we're coming across Blue Monday Blue Monday soon, because the real hangover begins when people get the credit card bills, and that's coming up within the next week. Here, Harmony, it's a Mike. Yes, it's a Mike. I guess that's my name. Oh, wow. Just looking at the top of my head, didn't realize my hair was thinning that badly. Must be getting up there. Anyway, here's the agenda for the stream. Oh shoot, it's 10:20. Yes. Yeah, it is 10:20. We'll be on for roughly an hour. So anyway, here's the agenda. You can probably see the boxes behind me. Yes, another delivery. So we're opening up some books. They are books, I know that much. And probably the stories behind my latest watch. So I'll explain that. You can probably see the two figures behind me. So there's an Alia, there's a Kaguya. We'll talk more at length about that, about those, a little later on, especially the Kaguya. That should be real interesting. As I said, I'll also set out a bit of more of an agenda for where we're going with this for the next little bit. Actually, there's my affiliate Twitch came on thanks to peakpie.com. Thanks, Russo _N, for the advertisement. Okay. Actually, there is a bunch of reveals today. The last item I want to show off is already actually no longer in the in its box or wrapping. It's actually sitting behind the suitcase, and I'll show that off a little bit later on. Yeah, as I said, I just finished packing all the equipment after we did episode 98 last night. Hopefully, we'll have that on. A quick upshot about that. Yes, Amy came back on. We got her take on various things that we talked about in the last Space Eater chats. We did update the Netflix Warner Brothers Paramount story. So, and we put a little bit more on the anime angle. I don't know how much more. We'll let you guys judge it. And Hideki Anno. Hideki Anno came up with some comments about anime's promotion overseas, and how Japanese producers should adapt for overseas markets. Upshot is, maybe not so much, but we did dive a little bit more into his comments. And really, this is one of those things where you really have to read behind the headline of his comment. And you'll understand that, hopefully, when you hear the episode, which is a little over 2 hours long. Great for that east to west end commute here in Toronto, even if you're taking the subway. Anyway, that's a preview of the episode. Watch and read list, I'll give a little bit more of an impression of, and probably, and this is going to also be meant as a follow-up. This stream is also meant as a follow-up to the episode when it goes up. So I've previewed it, but I'm also going to add some thoughts after we've taped the episode. But that's basically what we're up to this morning before I go for breakfast and enjoy the rest of the day. As I said, much of the weekend is also a little bit of tying up loose ends. So I have yet to make any shorts based on the last number of Twitch streams we've done. They're properly archived enough that I'll be able to make them. We are on YouTube again as well, so I'm still experimenting with the Atom multi-stream plugin. Might try the Stream Suite one in the near future, but I just want to stick with this one because it at least keeps my OBS layout. Or I might try another plugin altogether. I understand that the Stream Suite at least amalgamates your chat, whether you're on YouTube or or uh, or Twitch or whatever or Kick or whatever streaming platforms multiple you're using. Anyway, to anyone here, so glad you had some time to join me for this morning. When was the last time we streamed? I'm just wondering. I'm trying to remember the last time we did stream. Can you give me a second on that? Let me just make sure. Oh yeah, well it wasn't December. I know that much. So let me look that up. Well, as I said, I am trying to look up some of the stuff that we have tried to do, highlights. Well, yeah, it had been a bit. So it is the better part of a month ago that when the last time we did stream. So sorry for all that. As I said, the month has been busy. Life does admittedly get in the way. I have to say that. So, as I've constantly said, anybody who does this for a living, I envy them. I envy their time. I envy their hustle. I do envy the time they have, but I also have a respect for the work that goes into doing making content. I have trouble keeping up with the Joneses in that sense, but maybe that's something I don't necessarily want to do. I want to be able to I juggle the other stuff going on in my life, and maybe juggle watching as well. So to that end, as I said, I'll talk about the list a bit later on. I did see you. As I said, there is the Amazon stuff behind me. It is books, and it's kind of plugging a few holes within it. So I'll open that up in a couple of minutes. Oh yeah, one other thing inside the podcast that we talked about. Actually, in a bit of a departure to the way we usually do the show, we actually got to the Toronto calendar a little bit early, actually near the beginning of the episode. So give a listen to that. I need some help with something, actually. So one of the things we did mention in the local calendar, in the Toronto calendar, was Nerd Market 6, I believe it is. That'll happen on February 8th, a Sunday. So not quite a month from now. But my dilemma, and here's what I need a thought on. I got a table, or I have the option to take a table. But the thing is, I have to commit to it, and when I say commit, pay for it. I have until a little later this evening to make that call, which will put me down a rabbit hole to actually get stuff for the Nerd Market. Take the dive into the old locker and pick a few items to sell. So hopefully that's something to consider. Just need a thought. Do you think I should actually do it? I know I'm going to I know Kevin's answer, just for reference. And maybe I'll ask a few other friends a bit later on. Just something to consider. Plus, we did talk about Anime North. The Anime North season officially has officially begun. As we're starting to stream this, the tickets for Anime North have started to go on sale. The pre-reg, as they call it, the pre-registrations, as they call it. So. That has begun in earnest. That's begun right now. Let's take a quick look at the Anime North. I'm going to take a quick look at the Anime North website. I know we can't show it here. That's the limitations of OBS, or maybe we'll just have to learn. I'll just have to learn yet another plugin or another way to be able to show the web browsers. But yes, the Anime North, the road to the 30th Anime North has begun officially. So it is being billed as the 30th Anime North. The 30th anniversary is next year. But registration is now open. It's on Eventbrite. Well, I'll give a couple details here, and it's on the Anime North website. Registrations have begun, and the registration right now, the deal is $10 off the full weekend badge, which, oof. Let me. I'm just trying to just get a sense of the tickets right now, as we look at it. 16. What was this? Mail out badges, early bird weekend, 63. So $63.99 with the fee. That's the deal. And mail outs for the badges begin at $16.75 for if you purchase more up to 10 badges, and then there's an offer if you're doing this for groups. So the mail out options begin at almost $17. $64 right now for the early bird weekend. For the early bird weekend registration, get your tickets now. I guess it's a limited time offer. I don't know all the details about that. But Anime North season has begun. Hero Harmony, ooh, woohoo! Got my ticket. Hopefully we'll chat there again this year. Hopefully we'll be able. Well, hopefully we're gonna do a few more. We're gonna do our usual tapings there. If I'm around. First 2,500 for the early bird, if I remember correctly. This should go rather fast then, considering the numbers. I am curious to know what the numbers were actually for the last couple Anime Norths. That's still something I'm fascinated to know, and I know if I dig around I can find out, and if I know I ask James to do it, he'll probably find out before I do. So there's a thought there. Anyway, I have about 45 minutes to go. I've wasted 15 minutes talking about what we're doing next. Well, what we're doing next, let's open those boxes, shall we? I suppose when we open up the boxes, I'll explain also where my current watch list. Although it is explained also in the episode, but this is related to that. So let's take a look. Box number 1. It's kind of nice after Christmas. After the Christmas season, after the holidays, Amazon gave me an offer for 1 month of free Prime. So it kind of made the buying a little easier. It probably explains why we have multiple boxes. Hashtag carbon footprint. Yeah. Of course, they offer you Prime after the holidays. After. So get started on your 2026 Christmas shopping. All right. I also bought a ticket to Anime Fiesta a few days ago. Hiro, when is Anime Fiesta? So that's one of the more smaller anime gatherings, and they happen throughout the year. Actually, that's not an annual thing. And yes, we did. It's on the 31st. Thank you. I think I'm working that day. Oh wait, it's a Saturday, right? Yeah, maybe. Okay, I get it. And yes, the dates for Anime Revolution were announced as well for next year. This year now. That's in November again. So this time they're going for a mid-November date. So 13th, November 13th to the 15th. Excuse me. This year. So there's something to consider, and I know Amy had some thoughts on Anime Revolution as well in our chat about it, and Artist Alleys as well. I have an artist friend who will be there, and he was lucky enough to get a table for Anime North 2 this year. Yeah, Artist Alleys are a bit of a talk. Amy will talk at length about that, and I guess the lottery has happened for the Artist Alley. Congratulations to your friend. Trying to get a table for things like the Noma no Ichi, the Nerd Market, the Artist Alleys, wherever they happen. It's not something to take lightly, especially the Anime North Artist Alley. That's a lot of competition to get in there now. So, congratulations. Hope they keep it. And good luck to them. As I said, on the topic of admiring hustles, I'll understate it again for the artist. Okay, let's get started. First book, Volume 7 of The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. Yeah, I have yet to see anything. Oh, on that topic, Amethyst Lilac. Anything not to take lightly. Anime North hotel bookings as well. You'll hear it in the podcast. I'm not gonna. Anyway, so yeah, first book inside. Another thing. Thank you for the correction, Amethyst. Okay, so Volume 7 of The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. The saga continues. Okay. By the way, things are pretty much dried up in here after I had to air out the tablecloth last night, so everything just got packed up inside the suitcase behind me, as you can see. Anyway, that's the first item that was purchased. So yeah, the new season of Angel Next Door comes out in early April. I forgot the exact date, but you're seeing a little bit of the... yeah, I heard it on the podcast live from my fearful soul. Amethyst, yeah. It's somebody you know, I'm sure. It's somebody you know to the other viewers out there, by the way. Let's open box number 2, and then I'll continue to go on my little diatribe about stuff I'm watching at the moment. Okay, I can tell what these are. As I said, I'm tying up loose ends, and you know, one of the things I started watching on Crunchyroll, and I did mention I finished up Catch Me at the Ballpark, and the Swordsmith Village arc of Demon Slayer. So I'm trying to decide on stuff to watch now. Apothecary Diaries could be there, but one thing I did want to watch, because let's be honest, it's been on my trends lately, is stuff based on light novels, and I'll tell you more about that. But this is slight tear here. Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, not nearly as bad as one Indigo sale last year, but just random volumes of Days with My Stepsister, which this is quite dramatic. At least watching the anime, it really has more of a drama tone to it. Not like a, and it's not. It doesn't try and be a comedy. This feels like a really deep show. Just watching the first couple episodes of it, or first 5 episodes of it, and it got me intrigued. And it's sort of, well, let's be honest, it's sort of up my alley, considering the other stuff I have been watching as of late. Or other stuff I've been reading on the light novel side. The media mix has evolved really in an interesting way over the last number of years. Starting that trend. Although obviously we've seen stuff based on light novels before then come out west. But how do he surely starting the trend of stuff based on light novels? So that's where a lot of my reading has been as of late. And much of it, like, how do I put this? Most light novels are usually one of two, can be pigeonholed in one of two genres: isekai or high school romance, or some combination of it. Because it's not. How could it not be? It's just the way the trends go. Those are the two easy genres used in light novels these days. High school romance or high school drama, I guess. So Days with My Stepsister, this is an interesting one. Two people who become step siblings when their respective parents remarry each other, and how they navigate it. But they don't come into it like they come into it skeptical, kind of skeptical of each other because of seeing how it scarred their parents. And it kind of takes a lot of psychological twists. So it's really subtle. You get to kind of explore what the internal strifes are with the two main characters. And there's really no comedic scenes, like no coming in on the stepsister naked type stuff, or coming out of the shower type of stuff. It is just the first 5 episodes. It was a really, really thought-provoking watch in that sense. So ADHD hasn't continued reading the second Haruhi light novel. It's just been sitting next to me for 4 months. That I say that about Volume 2 of Welcome to the NHK manga. That's been sitting on the night shelf in my bedroom for 4 years, maybe longer. Probably as long as version 2, by the way, or since 2017. So it's been sitting there for 8 years, I guess. Anyway, so there's just random volumes because they were on sale on Amazon, and I'll try and plug the holes, fill in the holes. 6 volumes I think are out of the light novel, so I'll try and get the other 3 in the very near future. Anyway, box number 3, shall we? Oh, another first-time chat. Cool. Nobody on the YouTube chat. Okay, let's open the last box, and then I'll do a little bit of a talk. Okay. Yeah, more spam. Okay, more. I mentioned reading the first 3 volumes of the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. I've read a little bit more since. I think I've read the next 3 volumes of it digitally. So I finished volume 6, and I can continue now because I have these are 7, 8, and 6. Well, as I said, I did read volume 6 already, but 7 and 8 are now in my hands. So I've started to purchase Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. And as I said, I'll probably be spending the next little bit plugging the holes with, As I said, these were all on sale on Amazon, so that's why I plucked them, and that's as much as we can talk about. That's what's on what was in the boxes. I will get to the surprise behind the suitcase a bit later on, but it does lead me to some of the watch and reads as of late. And I did touch on them inside the podcast, so I'll bring out my Kindle, my trusty Kindle, and my iPad. Yeah, I've kept the red case on. Oh, the joke about putting on the red case about a little over a month ago on this, but I think I'll keep the red case on through the Lunar New Year. I did briefly go to the blue, but back to the blue, but I just thought I have too many blue accessoried items on me right now. My phone is that way as well. So I just want to keep the contrast, and maybe I can easily spot my Kindle, or my mother's Kindle, amongst them easily. The dilemma I just want to quickly go anime wise, just to start. I did mention I started watching Days with My Stepsister, so I'm almost halfway through the first season of that. Hopefully that kind of continues. Kowloon Generic Romance. I did enjoy that. I did complete it, and I'm curious to see, like, I'm gonna say they came up with their own ending for the anime, but it's also clear that the manga is near its end. I'm curious to see how the endings of both the anime and manga versions of Kowloon Generic Romance will differ. But I did like that. I did like that ending, and I don't think there'll be pretty sure there's not going to be a second season of that. But it was a good story. So I would highly recommend that. Which leads me to what's next on the watch list. Catch Me at the Ballpark was completed, and then I'm just looking at this. There is a reason I had the Kaguya figure out, and I didn't mention this in last night's podcast. I did watch the Kaguya-sama Love is War special, Stairway to Adulthood, which basically acts as a follow-up to the manga, because it's sort of a flashback, not really a sort of a flashback, and it touches on points in the story that had yet to be depicted in the anime and probably won't be now. But it's kind of a summary of Kaguya kind of starting to look back as she on her relationship to that with Shirogane. So that it's a nice watch. It sort of ties up a lot of things that weren't said in the anime, but it also probably works under the assumption you've read the manga. Good, which I haven't yet to completed, and I've actually started over, but will hopefully get around to reading a little bit more of, and I guess that's my manga watch read for the next little bit. I'll try and complete that since I have the entire series. Anime wise, and yes, they did hint that one final movie is coming out. It'll be an original movie meant to end the whole Kaguya-sama saga. So I'm looking forward to that, because the announcement of the movie was made at the end of the special. James mentioned Wash It All Away. He has been reading the manga of that. The anime has started airing. That could be worth a watch. Chichose is in the Ramune bottle. I was tempted to start watching that, but right now I'm not into watching double-length episodes. And much like not starting the Hashira training arc of Demon Slayer, I haven't started watching that yet because that starts with a double-length episode as well. So, but those two are probably on the radar for what I'll probably start watching next, and that'll catch me up. If I finish the Demon Slayer arc, that'll catch me up right to the movie, and maybe I'll start reading the manga. But I'm looking at my my watch list, and one, I have to clean it up, and that's kind of a theme these days. But there's stuff here I would want to looking to watch. Windbreaker, I think, is a friend's recommendation, and maybe if I want to mix it up a little bit, for sure I want to go something like that. I'm just looking at the list, and if there's titles here that caught my attention just on name alone before I continue. But let me look at this. The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. I know that's a manga. I think that's completed. It's on Manga Up. Oh, that's right. The second season of My Dress Up Darling. I guess I should get to that. Let me see. Can a boy-girl friendship survive? I think I know that's based on a light novel. I've seen the fan translations. Sakura Quest. That already sounded interesting. My Friend's Little Sister Has It In For Me. I think the light novels is constantly going. I think that's been coming out consistently. I know that. I think that's a light novel. I know that's a manga on Manga Up. I'm just looking at My Tiny Senpai, kind of a cute story, or My Awkward, and then there's My Awkward Senpai, My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999. I should continue Spy Family. Anyway, the Shinji Family Children, I keep seeing stuff based on that. It pops up on my feed just for reference. Okay, so I think I've almost decided. I'll let you know as I start watching. Wave Listen to Me, I put down my list. That's a funny show. That's from a few years back. I mentioned watching it during the pandemic. That might be worth a watch at some point. And it's been dubbed into English apparently. I don't remember about watching the dub at the time though. That was when the Funimation service still existed. So that's what I watched. Horimiya. I should read that. I know I've heard that's really good. Okay, and okay, so that's it. As you can see, the anime watch may not be as extensive right now. These days, I have to admit, I sort of hate YouTube for one key reason. All the shorts that pop up recommending manga that hasn't been that, but by and large, has not been officially released in English in North America. So I'm kind of reduced to looking at scans, looking at scanlations. In this day and age, like as somebody who saw the latter stages of the fan sub eras and the tape tradings that would have been existed back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think that's where we sort of still stand when it comes to the manga side, I think. And now the burgeoning light novel side, you're seeing a lot more fan translations. So you're seeing a lot of fan scan sites. And to be quite honest, I've been drawn to them as of late. So there have been a handful of titles that I admit that I've looked at and started to read there. And that sort of goes with light novels too. I did finish up volume 8 of My Stepmother's Daughter is My Ex. And I'm going to take a pause of that. 12 volumes have been released in English. 13th volume was recently released in Japanese. That was on Halloween, maybe appropriately. So maybe I'm going to take a pause on that at the very least for a couple of volumes. It's just what do I read now? You saw all the light novels I do have. I've been on a bit of a buying spree, so maybe I'll start. And almost surely I should start one of those. Maybe one that's already completed. But one that also resides on my Kindle right now is a fan translation. I mentioned curiosity about reading Otonari Asobi, once again I will not, or maybe I will attempt to go to mention the full Japanese title, or maybe not. But when you translate its Japanese title, it basically summarizes. Quite honestly, it summarizes the whole premise. Maybe that's the cool part about these long Japanese titles. They basically summarize the whole premise of this story. Otonari Asobi, and here, let me show you the light novel cover. This is a fan translation of the light novels, which none of this, by the way, has been released in North America or into English officially. So there's my dilemma reading fan scanlations. I am thankful for whoever went to the work to make a fan translation, and not only make the fan translation, but also make it compatible with e-readers. This is an EPUB version that I'm reading. The title basically translates into the story of how a beautiful foreign student who lives next door started to visit my house after I helped a lost little girl, the lost little girl being said student's little sister. That basically summarizes the manga, or the story, I think, over right now as far as I know, 7 volumes and a 200 plus chapter web novel, which are the core sources. It's being adapted presently into a manga. I'm honestly hoping to see a official copy in North America, because I would be in line to buy that, or maybe I should actually learn the language. We encourage it, folks. We do encourage it. Just try and give yourself some time to do so. So that's my current read. I'm actually in the middle of reading volume 1 of the light novel of Otonori Asobi. So there it is right there. I've continued reading more on the manga upside. So I did finish one title recently on that, because it was a pretty quick read at only 41 chapters, I guess. Only 41 chapters. That would still be a good 7 volumes. But I did finish Falling for Her Secrets, and I'll show you the title. I'll show you that right here. on my iPad. I guess having been into things like been into stories like The Girl I Saved on the Train happened to be my childhood best friend. That could be my next light novel read because I have the whole series. Angel Next Door, of course, My Stepmom's Daughter, Days with My Stepsister. I think we can start using stories, start to meld stories that use the word stepsister, angel, and neighbor in them. Oh, and childhood friend. Anyway, Falling for Her Secret Side has a kind of cute premise. I'll read the summary as it's mentioned on Manga Up. Assuming bookworm Tanaka Minato never imagined he'd cross paths with the cold beauty of his high school, Saito Rina. But after a chance encounter reveals their shared love of books, they start meeting in secret, bonding over literary discussions. To fund his hobby, Minato works part-time in disguise to avoid breaking the school's no-job policy. At work, he often seeks the advice of his co-worker, Hiragi Rina, about his peculiar situation. Yet something about Hiragi feels strangely familiar, and looking at the cover here, you can probably start to put two and two together just based on that premise. One thing that this series has in common with a lot of the other shows and a lot of the other titles I'm reading is usually a scene that happens. Usually scenes that happen on Valentine's Day, New Year's, Christmas, in a cat cafe, and usually any one of those scenes results in the male main character saying at the very end, "This is bad for my heart." Quick read. This is Falling for Her Secret Side is a quick read. If you have the Manga Up subscription, it is a very pleasant read, if not earth-shattering. It ends at 42 chapters. I would recommend it, especially if you've been reading a lot of the other stuff that I've just now mentioned. So Days with My Stepsister, especially if you've read something like The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. It's a quasi-similar premise. Yes, secret meetings between the two main characters as well, much away from the discerning eye of the high school public, right? So that's a small recommendation if you want to read it. As I said, it's a quick read. It's a very quick read, and unlike a lot of the translations I've been reading lately, which are very short stories. Those ended rather abruptly. This one has a good ending, I would say, the way it chose to end. So there's if you have the time, and I read that I read the whole series in like 2 days, and yes, I did use a little bit of in-app currency to read the very last part, but it was worth the purchase. I'll be quite honest with you. So there's one of the other reads that I didn't mention. 20 minutes. Okay, so I have 20 minutes still to spare, I guess. We've been at this for about 45 minutes now. What else do I want to talk about before I go behind the suitcase there? Wonder who else is watching this morning. Okay, so just the usual. Potter66555, do you have anything to add to the conversation so far? Anyway, excuse me. A sneeze and a cough. I have a bad feeling. Oh, how long do you stir your coffee before sipping? Well, for starters, I'm not doing coffee at the moment. This is just water. I'll have the coffee a bit later. And I stir it, and for reference, I stir it until it is a very, very uniform color. And how I have my coffee can vary depending on my mood. Lately, it's been double, much like my mother's preference. Once in a while, it's regular, which is my father's preference. But it does depend. And maybe I'll experiment a little bit more with preferences. Maybe I'll just go extra milk. So just to cut down on bitterness, because that's maybe where I am with coffees, just trying to cut down on on the bitterness. And yeah, maybe using maybe going with the cream and sugar isn't the best idea. So I'll try and find alternatives in the near future for my morning coffees. Okay. All right. So yeah, what else am I mentioning? Yes, finished up 6 volumes of The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, and at least I can read 7 and 8 at my own leisure. Behind me are my library copies of Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. Oh, here it is right here, yeah. And it's dried off, by the way. Yeah. So maybe I did say I'll start reading this at some point, and I honestly should. I honestly should start reading this in the near future. So, oh, for reference, the book, the Days with My Stepsister novels. I did mention there was slight damage. Yeah, it's in the corner. Oh, and maybe a sticker to take off as well. But it's in the corner. But if you look closely in the corner. Now, let me just point that to the camera and not try and cover up the microphone. If you look closely in the camera, there's some slight damage in the corner there. But this isn't nearly as bad as a bad Indigo purchase from last year coming from the U.S. Yeah, Angel Next Door. I would want to start reading this, and maybe I want to use it to catch up on it before the new season starts. But I'll probably be cycling between a couple of different titles, light novel wise. One of the things we did talk about at the end of the episode last night was Amy's thoughts on light novels. And you'll hear it. I'm not going to try and blow that right now, but I encourage you to listen to the episode. But it did further make me reflect as to where light novels now sit. We talk about core materials being the source materials, and light novels have become a very relevant part of the media mix when it comes to anime and manga. You can probably say anime, manga, and light novels now, because there is, like, light novels begin as web novels. They're actively the sites that take them in, like Be a Novelist in Japan. They're actively scouted now by publishers for further development, whether it be as a light novel, whether it be as and maybe even, and of course, perhaps if it becomes popular enough, an eventual manga and anime adaptation. I guess that's how Osonori titles like Osonori Atobi is right now. Certainly Days with My Stepsister, My Stepmom's Daughter, those type of things. Angel Next Door, of course. The lists really can go on and on. And what I sometimes hate about learning watching those YouTube shorts that promote a manga series, when I dig a little deeper into trying to find out more about said series, I find out their actual source is not a manga that's being mentioned, it's a light novel. One series that I did read a fan translation of over the last year, so in 2025. Nyanta to Pomeko. Even if you say you believe me now, it's too late. That's a long-running web novel. I don't think it's been adapted into a light novel. There was a manga. It did complete, and from what I could gather, had a bit of a, let's just say, rushed ending. But that was a good read about a completely bullied high school guy who grew up bullied in elementary and middle school and is so jaded with life, and that affects how he is now in high school. And that's just on both the web novel and reading the translated manga, that was one I really enjoyed. Pair him up with somebody with a girl he meets in his class who has had similar experiences. That one was a little bit more serious. It's interesting. One of the words that sometimes people like to use in the genre in describing these stories these days, you hear the usual ones: drama, high school life, romantic comedy, romance, adaptation. One word that's come up that comes up in these descriptors now is psychological. People said that about what is it? I have it here on my shelf too. And I just forget its name. I think I started to understand that. I started to understand or see that term when describing stories with a silent voice. People call that a psychological. I would dare say, actually, having watched the first couple episodes or the first half of Days with My Stepsister on anime, this is psychological because really a lot of it is the thoughts of the two main characters. So, Fragrant Flower, to some degree, yes, too, because a lot of the exploration is Waguri's, not Waguri's, Rintaro's own anxieties, right? So there's that. That's worth mentioning. But there's a bunch of recommendations, and it's sad, but maybe not surprising that, there's this phrase: you can have everything, but there's this thought, not really a phrase, but a person's desires will always lie in the types of things that are just barely out of reach. For all the stuff, our fandom is in a good place at this point in history, overall, at least in terms of what it has access to, right? Or potentially has access to. I know we can get into the whole nitty-gritty about streaming services and what goes on, but there is a lot of selection. This is fact. There's a lot of selection for fans, more than they've ever had officially licensed in the West. But, and this is human desire too, we'll always be interested in the stuff that's just out of our reach. That's not there for us at the moment, where we do have to dig around. And I guess that's where I am right now. I'm grateful to see all these titles being released in North America. But my curiosity at the moment lies with stuff that's not official, that doesn't have an official release in English. So I guess it's just human nature to feel that way. Anyway, so that's the read watch list. Let's go with what's inside behind the suitcase, and I'll preface it by saying this: it is one of my Christmas gifts. I showed it to the others last night, just before they left after the taping, and I'm going to show it to you in a couple seconds. It is one of my Christmas gifts. It's a really interesting Christmas gift, and I think you'll know why when you see it in a couple seconds. And then, and it could be a hint as to one thing we will be doing on the stream in the near future, or sometime hopefully in 2026. Maybe I'll need some help in deciding which way to go with it, which way to go with the streams. Here, let me show you exactly what it is. Hopefully I sound a little better right now. It's been a thing these days. These fancy Lego sets. So my sisters decided to get me one of those fancy Lego sets. There's been a Star Trek Enterprise one. I know there's many based on Star Wars. Probably I wouldn't doubt a Millennium Falcon would have been there. But my sisters kind of outdid one better and decided to go with Optimus Prime. And not only that, when assembled, it transforms. So this could be the subject of a stream in the near future. Probably longer than any Yakuza stream, because at 1,508 pieces, this would be quite an assembly. So, but this could be an idea. Maybe something to do before Kiwami 3 comes out. But boy, it would be a long stream to put this whole thing together. And you know what's the cool part? I have to show this. If you look closely, it comes with a matrix. So there's a thought. Did I mention how much I love my sisters? They are the only guarantees I have in terms of women in my life. I'm not totally sure about my mom these days. Anyway, that's the last thing well, my mom loved me enough to give me her Kindle, just for reference. That's what I wanted to show off. That's the last thing I wanted to show off this morning. So I don't exactly know how we're going to go about this. We may save a stream. It would be a really long stream. I would have to have a weekend off to be able to do this, almost certainly. Like, we can probably just have one camera, and then I'll be chatting with you for an entire day. Or we could do this in pieces, because I know the instructions do things in phases. So maybe we'll just do like a phase at a time, and that's probably how we'll tackle this project. But I'm just gonna let you know, one of my best friends, my best friend. He's a big Lego nerd. So I told him about this, and a chill building stream. Yeah, that could be an idea, right? I told him about this, and you know, he's someone I would want to have on. And I do have another friend, a mutual friend, who has a YouTube channel based on his Lego passions. So this could be an idea for a stream in the near future. You know, I'll need some suggestions, right? I'll need some suggestions. Anyway, that's the crux. That's the bulk of what we wanted to talk about this morning. As I said, maybe I have to end soon, because some of the stuff I wanted to do was some house cleaning. We have I have some shorts to make based on the past podcast episodes and the past streams. And there is the matter of episode 98 going up. I have to do an edit of. I have to do a second listen through and an edit of that to be sure it's ready to put up. And you'll hear it warts and all as it happened, because a few funny things did happen and you can hear that in the episode. But you know what? Yeah, let's stop talking about it and let's get to it instead. But that's what I wanted to do. It was a nice way to start the day, to have coffee with you, to have water with you guys. And the other thing is, I haven't had breakfast yet. That's why I haven't had a coffee. It'd probably fuck with my stomach at my age. But there's as much as I want to chat about this morning. So glad we had a little time to do so. Look, the roadmap's suggestions. I constantly joke. I looked on ChatGPT and just typed, "Tell me about this podcast. Tell me about Anime Roundtable," and it went on this whole bit, and it was all flattering. But at the very end, it made a suggestion about how I should roadmap the podcast and the brand and the Roundtable name for the next little while. I won't go into too many details about that right now, but one thing it did certainly suggest is how to handle a typical month, and that's just really, it's just making content, and then we'll worry about. But the roadmap also talks more about promoting it. Certainly, it's just good to put stuff out there. Its suggestion is to make 3 recordings, 2 regular episodes, and a space heater chat. I get the feeling it'll be the other way around. And at least 1 stream a week, I believe, or 2 streams a week. I don't think we can do that, but perhaps one a week would be realistic, and maybe that's how we'll spend most Saturday mornings. Just to chat, just to catch up. At least short of doing a video game stream, right? Hey, I know that Yakuza Pirates, whatever it's called, Yakuza Pirates is on sale right now, at least on the PlayStation Store, probably on Steam as well. So that could be a thought. And of course, Kiwami 3 is set for a release pretty soon as well. So those are all things to think about. And maybe that's as much as I have on my mind this morning. So that's it. Let us know what you think, whether you're seeing this on afterwards in the comments down below on YouTube, or even if you're seeing this on Twitch. Or you can hit us up on the socials. Just check our link tree, animeroundtable.com. If you are seeing this on YouTube, give us a favor. Give us a thumbs up. It'll greatly help us. And the Roundtable as a whole. And one final favor. If you've stumbled on us, whether you're seeing this on Twitch or YouTube, give us a subscribe on Twitch, a follow on YouTube, and a follow and a bookmark wherever you get your podcasts, so you know every time we're able to do something on any of those forms. Anyway, as I said, I got to get breakfast and maybe clean up the boxes and put those in the recycling. Thanks for spending the hour with me, and hopefully, we'll do this again next week. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Look forward to it. Episode 98 comes out hopefully before the end of the weekend. Talk to you then.